Hi, Reverend Paula here from Spiritual Soul Center. If you were with us this past Sunday, Jared told the story of the song Amazing Grace. And I hadn't heard that story before, the story behind that hymn. It was actually written by a man named John Newton, who was active in the transatlantic slavery business in the 1700s, taking slaves back to England. And Jared talked about how he composed this song only using the black keys of the piano, as was the tradition for African American or African spirituals at the time. But John Newton had a change of heart. He was a terrible man when it came to the treatment of slaves. He treated them very poorly. He had a poor upbringing himself. No excuse, but that's what happened. But what happened, as Jared told the story, was this man, John Newton, had a change of heart. And he did, and it didn't happen in an epiphany, like all of a sudden, even though some stories you might read on the internet might tell you otherwise. But it happened over time, as happens a lot of times in a change of heart. In a change of heart, because a change of heart takes time. It usually doesn't happen immediately. It can happen that way. But with John Newton's change of heart, it took time. In fact, over time, he became ordained an Anglican priest in England, and he wrote over 280 hymns, his most famous being Amazing Grace. And it truly is amazing, this grace, because for a man that lived a life that was just awful in the way he treated people, he ended up having a pretty good life. You know, I think that's what grace is. Grace is not this eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth kind of thing. It's this thing in us that is this love that I talk about at Spiritual Soul Center, this love that if you just give it a crack, if you just give it an opening, if there's just this small possibility inside yourself, grace says yes and pours forth through as love. And I think that's what grace is. Grace is not this thing that keeps score, as we often do in the physical world. It's this thing that pays no mind other than to the opening in your heart. And that's what's amazing. Truly amazing grace. I hope you consider that in your life today, that all it takes is an opening, all it takes is a possibility for the experience to travel the road of amazing grace. Until next time, amen.